Hey guys, this is going to be a really short video. I'm going to kind of take a question that I got in an email, and this is going to be a new series for me. So I'm Daniel Norton, if you don't know. This channel is about photography and philosophy of photography and technique. If that stuff interests you, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to try to do these guys. This is my new thing for February. See how it works out. I'm tentatively calling it 5-Minute Fridays, which I stole from another podcast called The Frogcast, which has to do with gaming. So if you're interested in that, check out that podcast. But he does these little quick 5-minute things on Friday, kind of impromptu. And I thought that'd be a good kind of thing to do because I get a lot of questions. I spend a lot of time either answering people's questions or thinking, can I turn this into a larger video for people? But what I'm going to try to do is every Friday do these little quick talks to kind of answer a very basic thing. I think basic. So go ahead and send me more questions because that's what I'm getting from. So this might be a little bit longer than 5 minutes because I just had to do that whole explanation. But anyways, maybe not. So the question I got, of course I closed the email now. Oh, I'll look at it right now. Boop. This is from Lorenzo, and he says, which is a lot of positive things, which is nice. Thanks, Lorenzo. He has a 5-foot white reflective umbrella. He's trying to mimic window light. Is that enough, or do I need a 7-foot? Well, that's really interesting, right? Because, first of all, let's break it down. What is window light, right? So a lot of times when people speak of window light, they have something in their mind that may or may not actually look like a window, right? If we think about light coming through a window, it really depends on a lot of factors. Like number one is the, I probably should turn that off. Number one is the sun shining through that window. If so, then the window light is going to be hard, right? If the sun is shining through the window and it has a curtain in front of it or something like a diffuser, like a sheer, like I have in my studio, then it'll be directional but soft, right? If you're on the north side of the building and there's no sun coming through, then it's big and open and kind of very, very diffused and not very directional at all. Same thing is true if it's kind of like very, very, very cloudy out. So what do you mean by window light, right? I think when most people think of window light, they're thinking more of a directional light with the sheer. Like that's kind of how I imagine people think of it. So that being said, a reflective umbrella is not necessarily the ideal tool for this because the light is not going to be as directional because at a reflective umbrella, reflective meaning the light bounces into the umbrella and then comes back out, is really going to scatter your light. So if you are trying to duplicate the light from a window, you want to use an umbrella, you see I'm going in different directions. See, the question was about size, but I haven't talked about size at all yet, but I will just so I can answer the question. Really, what you want is a shoot-through umbrella if you're using umbrellas. Better would be, maybe better, it might be a softbox. Or possibly even better would be literally like some kind of a sheer hanging there with a light shooting through it in some way to control the size. You could even build it. I remember when I took a course on lighting when I was in college, not for my degree, but it was like an extra course at the New England School of Photography. I don't know if that's still around. If it is, shout out. Anyways, and one of the shots that we did was the teacher took these V-flats and basically put them sideways like this, creating kind of like a hallway, right? And then draped down in that hallway of between the two V-flats, some shears, and then put a light through there and shot it. This is more like window light. If you really want it to be like window light, you can block the bottom too, because obviously, you get the window. So window light tends to be, even when it's soft, relatively directional. Now, if you're going for this like northern kind of super open light with like almost shadowless, I hate to say it, light, then a reflective umbrella would be really good. I recommend typically the largest possible. I mean, 5 foot is pretty big, and back further. So that way it kind of, you don't have like you don't have shadows on the wall because of the inverse square law. So yeah, I mean, the size of the umbrella and the size of your light source almost always really depends, not wholly, but partially at least on how much coverage you want, right? If I'm only lighting my hand and I am using, you can't see it obviously. I don't even think I can take it to you guys. Cause yeah, there's a softbox. It's like, well, it's this big. So it's, it's barely bigger than my head. I have an average size head, but it's pretty close to me. So the light on me is relatively diffused, but it also drops off really quickly. That's why I'm lit and the rest of the room's not, right? If you're only lighting something small, like a hand, right? This can seem pretty soft because, the light itself is bigger than my hand. So if you're saying you want to do a window light portrait of a plate of food, well, then you don't need that big of a box necessarily. right? You want to make sure that it's still big relative to your subject. So if you're shooting a full-length portrait, then possibly a 7-foot umbrella might be better. If you're shooting a 3/4, 5-foot's probably fine. Reflective, it's going to not give you exactly, I think, what you're looking for if you're thinking of window light in the way that I imagine you are. But that being said, there's a bigger question here, and this is kind of the final thought here. So before I'm probably, oh no, I'm only a little bit over 5 minutes. I'm pretty good. The final thought here is that if you have, and this happens, this is a question I get all the time. I have this, should I buy this to do this? Almost always the answer is no, probably not. Use what you have to get as much as you can out of it. I mean, if you're trying to duplicate an exact image, then yeah, you probably need certain pieces of tools. And obviously, certain tools, you've seen me use them before, barn doors and focusable spots and stuff like that. Those are very specific grids. But if you've got a 5-foot umbrella, the difference between a 5-foot and a 7-foot umbrella really isn't that much in most cases. And I think somebody who's just learning lighting would probably not see a difference between those two. So I think buying a 7-foot umbrella when you have a 5-foot, if you haven't really exhausted everything that you can do at the 5-foot, is probably not the best way to spend money. I would probably, in your situation, Lorenzo, I probably would buy, I know this is going to blow you away, possibly even a slightly smaller umbrella, but a shoot-through umbrella. This is if you're doing like a head and shoulders. If you're doing a full length, then you're going to need a big umbrella. But if you want to get window light and you want to do it with an umbrella, then your best bet is going to be something that's shoot-through for, I think, what most people assume window light is, which is a directional light that's hitting something, the shears in the window, and diffusing out. Also, remember, you got to keep the light the light relatively far away from the person. That's one thing that people make a mistake on a window light. So we just talked about how I'm lit here, right? This is not how a room looks, right? If I just light me, right, just around me is lit, and back there is dark. If this was a window that was lighting me, back there would probably be lit, because that has to do with the inverse square law and the sun being very far away. So, anyways, that's a whole other video. I'm already 7 minutes in now, so my first 5-minute Friday is 7 minutes long. But let me know if you guys like this. Keep sending me questions on Instagram. You can, this was an email. You can email me if you want. I get a lot of emails, so Instagram is a good place to do it. If you don't follow me there, go ahead, follow me, Daniel Norton, or obviously you can put a comment down below. In any case, I will see you next time.